welcome back. It's Maggie and Lisa again. Welcome back to our podcast, and thank you so much for listening and watching. Today, we're going to talk about something that's been pretty big on media nowadays because of the movie, and we're going to talk about the Devil Made Me Do It case. Some of you may have heard of this case, and we've known about it for a while, even before the movie was a big thing. But this case is really interesting because this was the first case in the US that the defense used demonic possession as the defense. This is what they were going by. So I find it interesting that the supernatural meets law, and these kind of cases really interest me because when something as hard and concrete as law run into the supernatural, you can't go to stuff that you just see as science or whatever the case is. This is something that dives a little deeper. So I think this is one of the reasons why this case blew up and got a movie over it and everything like that. It was a man named Arnie Johnson who got convicted of murder. I mean, he did kill his landlord, but it stemmed back to where his fiance's little brother was possessed. He was like 11 years old or 10 years old where he was possessed, and Arnie was very close to his fiance's little brother. And he grew so tired of these possessions and the attacks on the little boy that he provoked the demon and said, you won't come into me or you won't bother me. He provoked it. And the demon did go inside of Arnie, and he was oppressed for a while, and then one thing led to another, and he eventually killed someone. This was an interesting case because Arnie was known as someone who was a real nice man, would never hurt a fly, and then all of a sudden after this happened, he did a 180, and people would say that he would just like stare off and do these daydreaming sessions and just stare off, and like he was someone else for a little bit. And this happened for a while, and then it just elevated into this event happening where he killed his landlord.
There was so much controversy around the story, and it went to great lengths where a couple family members sued the Warrens. Ed and Lorraine Warren, they were called to this case. Now, going back, it wasn't just David, as far from what I read, it wasn't just David that was possessed, it was also his brother. But because of the controversy and the brother going after, I believe his name is Carl, him going after the Warrens, that's the reason why he was left out of the movie. It's unfortunate what this family went through. They went through a lot of criticism. It affected their friendship with people in school. It affected when they went to work. I mean, nobody wants to be classified as the person that was possessed by demons or the devil. So there's a lot of controversy surrounding this. And Carl, he went as far as saying the Warrens lied, that it never happened or that they exploited the family for money, and he came after them years later. I believe it was in 2006. Now, I automatically try to look at holes. I try to debunk things. That's something that Maggie and I automatically do. And I would have my doubts on the Warrens, except the several witness accounts that surrounded this story. It wasn't just an isolated case with the Warrens and the family. There were 6 priests involved in this demonic possession. I mean, it was getting worse. When after the priest came in, they couldn't resolve it. One of the priests decided to call up the Warrens to see if there's something that they can do, because according to this priest, things were getting worse. David was growling more, hissing. There was more noises, paranormal activity. So he called up the Warrens to come on over to try to give them a hand after they had helped with a prior case. Unfortunately, there wasn't much of a resolution with this demonic possession. As Maggie was saying, I'm not sure if his name was Arnie or Arne, but we'll call him Arnie. Arnie was he was a good man, according to several people around him, including his future wife. He was family oriented. He loved kids. He loved David. And it hurt him so much to see him going through all this pain and suffering. David couldn't take it anymore. And most people would not challenge something like a demon, but that's what Arnie did. He challenged the spirit. He said, take me, he said something in the effect, well, like Maggie was saying earlier, and something like, take me instead, something like that. I don't remember the exact words. So several people have stated that after Arnie challenged that spirit, they saw David take a turn for the better while Arnie took a turn for the worst. I mean, there's not just eyewitnesses, there's professional credential documents. Before that incident with the challenging the demon, he never had a police report. After that, he was getting in trouble with the law. He wasn't doing good at work. He was in a little bit of a crisis with relationships. And that's what ended up with him killing the landlord. Now, one thing that really freaked me out, Maggie, what I was reading is, and it made my skin crawl. So while Arnie was going, after he challenged the, whatever it was, they said there was about 40, I think 43 demons supposedly in David. After he challenged the darkness in David, they said that gradually he was becoming more and more possessed. And Arnie said that when he looked down a dark well, supposedly there was a demon down there, but he said that's when he became full possessed. That made my skin crawl.
Yeah, and I can imagine. You gotta realize, if you don't know much about this case, it all happened in 1981. These days, like, we have the scary movies, we have shows out there that have like paranormal investigations out there, so it's more well known. Back in 1981, no one wanted anything to do with this. So for them to make this up, and for the Warrens to make this up, it's slim to none. Even though there is some controversy around it, I think the controversy comes from a lot of Arnie actually getting convicted, because he did. Even though the stance in the defense was demonic possession, it didn't win his case. So I think a lot of it stems from that. It doesn't change the fact that that's what their defense was, and that's what happened to Arnie, unfortunately. But it's really hard to make something like that up, even back then. Like, that wasn't something that, oh, let's just go ahead and claim this thing. There was so many, like Lisa was saying, so many witnesses of this, so many witnesses of his change of character during those months after he challenged the demon. And the thing about the Warrens is I would call them one of the pioneers of paranormal investigators. They're amazing, or rest their souls. They're both passed now, but they were the pioneers, and they paved the way for this to be. They put it out there so people know this stuff happens. It's not like not saying things. This stuff is out there. Spirits are real, and they're the ones that put that stuff out there. So kudos to them. I honestly, my personal opinion, I don't think they were trying to make money off of anybody. I do feel like by chance they did, like, they made their books and they wrote their books, and they went on these shows, but I think they were just trying to do, like I said, they were trying to get the picture out there that this stuff was happening. And because it's so taboo, and because it was back in the day and no one was talking about it, a lot of people were interested in it. And it being a law case with the defense being demonic possession, it gained a lot of popularity from that.
I went through a couple of videos where people were doubting the Warrens and saying, well, look, they made so much money off this, off the book, off the movie. But we have to keep in mind that correlation does not imply causation. Just because she made so much money on the books, on the movie, does not mean that the story itself was not true.
Exactly.
I mean, some people don't make anything off their passion. And if you can make money off your passion, then that's a plus for you.
Yeah,
So
that's a
that's what the
felony.
Warrens did. They worked off their passion. Ed was so much into it because he grew up in a haunted home.
Mhm.
Lorraine was a clairvoyant. She
Mhm.
felt things that other people could not feel. So they used their talent or something they're interested um, in their daily lives. And they were out to help people. So to come out and say that they were flat out lying, that's something that I highly doubt. You
Right.
know, just because of all these eyewitnesses
Mhm.
and even the six priests. If it was something normal, David only had some kind of mental illness. Why did they have six priests there? Why
Right.
did a priest have to reach out to a demonologist and a clairvoyant? They needed help. They witnessed things. There's even audio out there on the case.
There's audio
Uh,
and photos.
and some people try to discredit it and say, well, um, like with Arnie, maybe he was on drugs. But there is a difference between drugs and demonic possession. I know some people that take certain drugs say they have some kind of spiritual experience. The difference between drugs and a demonic possession is that with a demonic possession, there could be levitation. They could be speaking in different voices. They could be speaking in different languages. There's things out of just extreme things that go on far beyond drugs. And I do believe that there was a demonic possession going on. They did note that the Warrens only gave the family, I think, about $2,000. But
Mhm.
if they agreed to that amount, then that's what happened.
You have to think about it. Their their defense again in a court of law was demonic possession. That alone is going to get you headlines everywhere. So it's not like they didn't know it was coming, you know what I mean? I think the Warrens just because of their background, they were so much more interested in the spiritual and the supernatural part of it that expanded on it. They wrote a book on it, and it's just unfortunate how it gets all twisted because money plays a role in it, and that doesn't change the fact of what happened to Arnie and what happened to David. This case reminds me of the Demon House a little bit because of the eyewitnesses, the law, police officers saying demonic type possessions in children. And there being, like I said, eyewitnesses and actual written proof and reports of this kind of stuff. It reminds me with David and everything.
They tried to use demonic possession in court. Of course, the court wasn't having it. They had to switch it up to self-defense. So that did land Arnie about maybe, I don't know if it was 10 years, but they cut that down to, I believe, 5 years plus
Yeah.
probation. And after that event, he didn't get in trouble again with the law. So I believe there was something paranormal that was going on. It's easy to say, oh, well, they made a whole bunch of money off of this. They fabricated things. And I understand that with movies, they do exaggerate a little bit. There are some things that weren't to the T as in real life, but that's
Yeah.
what you're going to get out of Hollywood movies.
Right.
But most of it or some of it was accurate.
Yeah.
And there's just no denying the audio tapes, the eyewitnesses.
Mm-hmm.
And I really feel horrible that the family had to go through this unfortunate event. Now, I heard two different things, Maggie. First, Mags, I heard that the mom and the daughter were playing witchcraft, and that's what might have led to the possession. And then I heard that the house was already haunted, that David seen an old man. He said, you need to, something in the effect that you need to leave. I don't want you moving in.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's when it became worse when they moved in.
Yeah, that's the one that I heard. I didn't hear the witchcraft one, but I did hear about David seeing an old man. He would see him all the time, I think on a daily basis, and he would tell his family. And then after so much time, it just became some kind of dark oppression, which led to possession. So yeah, that's the one I heard. That's interesting that you heard about the witchcraft part.
Yep.
That part I believe is in the movie, some type of witchcraft. Maybe that's where that part of the movie stems from. But of course, like you were saying, everything was so blown out of proportion in the movie. Like a lot of the stuff was accurate, but there was a lot of off the wall things in the movie. But those are my favorite movies. I don't know about you, but the Conjuring movies and then Insidious movies, all those things, Annabelle, all of them are my favorite only because they're tied to a true story.
What Lorraine Warren also was saying was that usually these demonic possessions manifest greatly when a person is at a vulnerable state of mind. So that's why they're thinking that with Arnie, it was gradually manifesting as he was becoming more and more vulnerable. It just kept attacking, trying to get at him. And supposedly he fell off a tree because of a demon. He crashed his car. He was getting in trouble with the law. He was seeing this thing everywhere. So it may have been eating at him until it finally fully manifested. Like he said, he's seen it in the well.
Yeah.
And then when he went at his landlord, Bono, I don't believe that Arnie was totally out of it, because first of all, we know that he was a good guy. He challenged a monster out of David that many people wouldn't do. So when he went at Bono, I believe some of Arnie was still there. He didn't like the fact that Bono grabbed a 9-year-old girl against her will and would not let her go. That just made him lose it. So the darkness that may have been in him may have pushed him to do something as stabbing him.
The accounts say that I guess Bono was drunk and they came back from eating pizza or something, and he, for some reason, decided to grab the 9-year-old. I'm not sure if it was his fiance's cousin or something of that nature. And
I think it was Debbie's, was it her sister or niece? Yeah, I can't remember.
Yeah, the accounts say that he grabbed her and wouldn't let her go, and that's what pulled that trigger in Arnie. And it's so odd to say that he attacked him because he was doing this to the little girl, but then it just, I guess the evil took over him. Instead of him helping her, the evil took over and he killed him. And then they found him about 2 miles away from the home where they found Bono dead, just completely dazed, didn't even know what was going on. I feel for him, I really do. Like, but I honestly don't think he was in his right mind. I do think he was possessed. It's dangerous business when you challenge a demon because you don't know what's going to happen. Your soul isn't yours anymore at that point. So
yes, and thankfully he was able to live a normal life after this unfortunate event. Right. He's married, has kids. He's able to live his life the way it should have been.
All right, guys, that's all that we have for today. If you like this video, please give us a thumbs up, like and follow. We're going to come back with even more, another topic. You let us know if you want us to talk about something else, or if you have a investigation in mind. We are always down to do more investigations. Please send us your videos or pictures that you have. We would love to see them and feature them on here for next time.
Yeah, and guys, we're not just on Facebook and YouTube, we're also on Instagram. So go on Instagram and follow us there, UnXplained Podcast.
That's right. We'll see you guys next time. Don't forget to like and follow. Bye.